20-point lead blown. Obviously, no one's ever seen it because it's never happened in the playoffs before. But they took care of business today. They came out laser focused, starting with Jason Tatum. He's been beat up in Boston all week. Everybody's been beat up. I mean, obviously, everybody in Boston thought the Knicks were just going to fold, and it was going to be 4 or 5 games, and it really should be 3-0 after today. I mean, the Knicks didn't play that well, and really only, I think, led 16 minutes out of the total in the first 2 games, but it's how you finish, and the Celtics did not finish. But tonight, this afternoon, they just took care of business early, and they made their shots, but the shots were, Gabe, of higher quality.
Yes.
And they moved the ball, they moved the defense, and a lot of the shots in the first 2 games, the threes, were just isolation, quick early in the shot clock, especially late with the lead. They did not use the clock well or their selection down the stretch, but today it wasn't a problem, and now we have a series.
Yeah, I guess it was a situation where I'm not a member of the Celtics. I'm not a Celtics fan, so I understand if there were some nerves there. But watching how they were able to build 20-point leads in each of their first 2 games, yes, they blew those leads. But, the process was there, where you're playing good basketball, you're not closing well. And, oh, by the way, one of the most prolific shooting three-point teams in NBA history was only hitting 25% of their shots from downtown.
Right.
So, they were able to build those 20-point leads despite not shooting the ball well. That seemed like a good recipe, at least for me, going, okay, I think the Celtics are going to be fine here. They dug themselves a hole, but now they're just a game away from digging themselves out of the hole and heading back to Boston 2-2 as the Celtics are going to win this one 115-93 at Madison Square Garden. So it seems like the process certainly good for the Celtics. They're able to close it out, and they're going to be able to continue to grow. For the Knicks, going back to the drawing board, they have not started games well. How do they play better in the first half to prevent these huge holes that they dig themselves out of time and time again in the series?
Well, they're going to have to readjust their defense because they left the Celtics wide open today early. Peyton Pritchard just stood there and counted to 3 on a couple occasions. And when Tatum's making shots, you got to push him off the line. You have to do what Orlando did. Orlando pushed them off the line, and they really struggled with the physicality. And the Celtics' defense was very physical as well. I mean, they've done a good job on Brunson. They've done a good job on the backboards. But the Celtics, I think, came in with a lot of confidence today, not only because they beat New York easily in Madison Square Garden. Well, the last game wasn't overtime, but they're 4-0 against them during the season. But on top of it, they're the best. They had the best road record in the NBA, I believe, one of the best of all time. So they're not afraid to go on the road. And I think sometimes the pressure of playing at home gets to them. They were not a really good home team for the talent they had this year, but they certainly were a good road team, and they came in laser focused. I think some of the distractions of being at home sometimes gets in the way of the Celtics, and maybe they should change the routine a little bit. But listen, you pointed it out, Gabe. I mean, they're 2 shots away from this being 3-0. I mean, really, they could have won both the first 2 games at home, and they were horrific numbers from the outside. And even if they were just a little below average, they would have won those 2 games. But I think they cleaned some things up, especially on the defensive end. They went smaller today with Pritchard playing a lot of minutes, and he really delivered for them. And I think Pritchard's an underrated defensive player as well. He can help them out in the perimeter guarding Brunson, and he did that today.
Yeah, he can certainly be a pest, and that's, I think, what he was doing best. Just kind of getting, if he's on somebody who's bigger, he just kind of gets underneath him and try to put the ball on the deck, try to dribble past me. And you mentioned the Knicks kind of struggling again as they won a game by scoring 91 points. Now they only get to 93 points. That's not sustainable in today's NBA. I saw something from on this date, from 2002, I think it was a Celtics and a Pistons game score from a playoff game that was like 66-64. That's 20 years ago at this point. That's not sustainable. You have to find a way to be more efficient offensively, and I think that's been a huge issue for the Knicks the last couple of games, where they were able to get away with it in Game 2, because 91 points isn't going to win you a lot of games in the postseason in the NBA. And now they only get to 93 once again today. They have to find a way to get more out of some players. I mean, Jalen Brunson is 27. I mean, Karl Anthony Towns had 21, but 5 of 18 shooting. They just have to be more efficient.
Right, exactly. I think it's got to start, Gabe, with their defense. I think their defense has got to improve, and then they've got to do a better job on the backboards because scoring against the Celtics in the half court is not going to be easy. They're a good defensive team. They do a lot of switching out there on the perimeter. Al Horford at times, they've taken advantage of him when they've got him in switches against Brunson, but for the most part, he's a pretty good defender as well. He can guard 1 through 5, so they have a lot of interchangeable parts out there. So scoring against them in the half court has proven difficult for the Knicks. So they've got to try to find other ways to score, and it's got to start with transition offense. The Knicks didn't turn it over like they have in the past, which really hurt the Celtics didn't turn it over, which really hurt the Knicks because they weren't able to get out and get easy buckets. And today they just struggled in the half court. Their offense just stalled quite a bit.
I got to get your opinion on this as a coach, because there were a lot of people on my Twitter timeline, and I even heard some people back there in Bristol who weren't too happy with the Celtics, who were up by 25, 30 points at the start of the fourth quarter. Mitchell Robinson in the game for the Knicks, and they employed the Hack-a-Mitchell strategy where they were following Robinson away from the ball, sending him to the free throw line, and just living with the consequences as he was 4 of 12, up by that many points. Are you okay with that strategy from the Celtics, or would you have preferred to see them just play it out and see how it goes?
Well, I like just playing it out. That's my philosophy. That's coaches. A lot of coaches I know, they don't do that. But hey, I don't think it cost them the first 2 games. It takes you out of your rhythm a little bit. It was a bad move at the end of the game 2 when they fouled him, and they weren't in the bonus yet, so he didn't get to go to the line. And then as soon as they fouled him, Tom Thibodeau took him out of the game. So then they ended up winning the game on the free throw line because, in fact, they were in the bonus because they committed that foul. So it's a tricky thing. You've got to pay attention to the numbers for sure. Today it seemed to pay off. But again, it's not why they won the game today. They won the game today because they were really good on offense. They moved the ball. They got up and down the court. They shared the ball. And they moved the men as well. They didn't stand around on the offensive end. I mean, to me, it takes away from watching the game when you see something like that, but they figured out for some reason, and it's analytics driven, that they want him off the floor, and when he's on the line, he's dreadful.
Yeah, and had the terrible air ball. He's just throwing again. He was 4 of 12 from the line today. Still was able to contribute in other ways. Had 8 rebounds for the Knicks. But to me, when he's on the floor, if that is something I think you have to be aware of, if you're Thibodeau, okay, what's the situation? What are we in? Can we have Robinson on the floor, especially if you're trying to come back in late game situations? Because it's not adding to the offensive efficiency that you need and that the Celtics, ultimately had today. Again, 20 of 40 from downtown. They had a couple. Peyton Pritchard had 5 threes. Jason Tatum hit 5 threes in today's game en route to this absolute blowout win. And I look at this, and it feels like, even though they're down in the series, it feels like to me that the Celtics are now back in control because of how they've played throughout the course. Realistically, they were outplayed in 2 quarters. Now, they were the most important 2 quarters of games 1 and 2. But that's it. They've been outplayed by 2 quarters in this entire series, and that is it.
Right. And, the thing about this is that, in fact, the Knicks, it took them out of their rhythm today, some of the fouling. Tom Thibodeau was asked about it after Game 2, and he said, yeah, I like it because we get to the bonus quicker. But he's got to figure it out. He's got to figure it out because their offense looked this dysfunctional today. But the important number that you talked about early is that not the 20 makes, but only 40 attempts. On the season, the Knicks, I think they averaged almost 49 per game. Obviously, in the first 2 games, it was 100, so that's 50 per game. So today, they cut back on the threes. They were of higher quality, and I think they went to the film room and they broke it down. Whatever Joe Mazzulla says in the media, I just take with a grain of salt because any coach, not just him.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just, you've got to hear what he's saying in the film room and in the locker room and on the practice court. And they did their work. They watched the first 2 games, and I think they picked apart the bad shots versus the good shots and where they can get how they can get higher quality looks. and they figured it out today, and they came ready to go right out of the gate.
Celtics defeat the Knicks 115-93 at Madison Square Garden. That series now at 2-1 in favor of the Knicks. Game 3, a pivotal Game 3 between Minnesota and Golden State in San Francisco, coming up later tonight right here on ESPN Radio. Our coverage begins at 8 p.m. Eastern. You can also catch it over on ABC with that series tied at a game apiece. But coming up next, the NFL saw an unexpected retirement today. Plus, we will hear post-game from Jason Tatum. That's all coming up next. This is Prime Time on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
The NBA playoffs continue on ESPN Radio. With the Wolves and Warriors locked up at 1, the series shifts to San Francisco for a pivotal Game 3.
Randall for 3. Ooh, got it.
Coverage begins tonight at 8 Eastern, with tip-off at 8:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ABC. Presented by Indeed. This is SportsCenter. Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN Radio. It's an interleague showdown in Cleveland.
Monster home run from Harper.
Bryce Harper and the Philadelphia Phillies face Jose Ramirez and the Cleveland Guardians. Coverage begins at 6 Eastern with first pitch at 7 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN. Playoffs on ESPN Radio.
Gilgeous-Alexander open 3. Bang, he got it.
From the play-in tournament,
it really just felt like we had a second chance.
Until a champion is crowned at the NBA Finals.
If you don't think we are headed for an amazing spring, I can't help you.
Welcome to the NBA playoffs. Anything can happen.
On ESPN Radio and on ESPN. The NBA playoffs on ESPN Radio.
Halliburton on top. Launches a 3 and connects.
From the play-in tournament,
it really just felt like we had a second chance.
Until a champion is crowned at the NBA Finals.
If you don't think we are headed for an amazing spring, I can't help you.
Welcome to the NBA playoffs. Anything can happen.
On ESPN Radio and on ESPN. The NBA playoffs continue on ESPN Radio. With the Wolves and Warriors locked up at 1, the series shifts to San Francisco for a pivotal Game 3.
Randall for 3. Ooh, got it.
Coverage begins tonight at 8 Eastern, with tip-off at 8:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ABC. Presented by Indeed.
Hey, it's Michelle Smallman, and coming up Monday, we'll continue to react to the second round of the NBA playoffs, as well as look ahead to the draft lottery. It's on Sportsman 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Every 40 seconds, a child is reported missing. That's 2,000 children every single day. It's a heart-wrenching reality that we can no longer ignore. Find the Children is a non-profit organization dedicated to helping find missing kids. You can be a part of their mission by donating your unwanted vehicle, running or not. Call 1-800-294-0222. We guarantee that you will receive the maximum tax deduction. We provide fast, free pickup with 24-hour response. Call 1-800-294-0222. Find the Children provides crucial resources to help find missing children and educational materials to teach kids how to recognize and avoid predators. Our recovery programs have a proven track record of reuniting kids with their families. It's time to act. Donate your unwanted or unused car. Help us build a world where every child is safe. Pick up the phone and call 1-800-294-0222. Together, we can bring these kids home safely. This advertisement was paid for in partnership with Cars R Us and Find the Children.
The 700 ESPN Christmas Wish Golf Tournament, presented by Subaru of Spokane, is sold out. We look forward to seeing every single golfer that signed up to play the Coeur d'Alene Resort Course on June 10th. The sold-out 700 ESPN Christmas Wish Golf Tournament, presented by Subaru of Spokane, is also brought to you in part by Dynamic Decks and Delicious Burgers. We'd also like to say thank you to Airway Heights RV, Budget Storage, and Clark's Diamond Jewelers.
Supporting our community is what Give Back Northwest is all about.
Domestic violence hurts thousands of women, children, and men in Spokane County every year and often goes unseen and unheard. Spokane Regional Domestic Violence Coalition, a partnership among multiple organizations in Spokane, is working on a plan to create a safer Spokane and to advocate for victims and survivors. Learn more at endtheviolencespokane.org.
This message is brought to you by Give Back Northwest with support from Residential Home Solutions.
Mark your calendars for June 28th. The Coeur d'Alene Aviation Air Show and Expo is landing at Pappy Boyington Field. See legendary planes like the P-51 Mustang and F-4U Corsair, jaw-dropping aerobatics, and meet your favorite pilots. Enjoy family fun, interactive exhibits and surprises for all ages. Gates open at 10 a.m. Kids 5 and under are free. Grab early bird discounts now at flyco.com. That's FLYCOE.com. Experience the Coeur d'Alene Aviation Air Show and Expo, sponsored by 700 ESPN.
So, do you have outgrown kids' clothes, toys, or baby gear? Get cash on the spot at Once Upon a Child in Spokane Valley. They buy gently used current styles, no appointment needed. Clean out, cash in, and give great items a second life. Visit Once Upon a Child.
At Papa Murphy's, we make delicious pizza.
Right, but you can't eat a pizza until it's baked, so doesn't that mean that I am the true maker of the Papa Murphy's pizza?
But Dad, doesn't Papa Murphy's hand make the dough, hand grate the cheese, and hand chop the toppings? Sounds like they make the pizza.
But I take it. I bake it to perfection, so I make the pizza.
Whatever, so long as it makes it into my mouth.
Right now, order the limited time Taco Grande pizza for pickup or delivery from papamurphys.com.
At Hot Productions.
Boston by 21. 2 for 1 here. Pritchard knows it. Walks the dog. Picks it up with 37 seconds to go. Pritchard puts it in the right hand. Step back. Finds Jalen Brown. He up fakes the 3. Gets a clean look. Moving around. Josh Hart, and he knocks one down. And the Boston 3 party has defined the first half of Game 3.
20 of those threes went down for the Celtics. That Jalen Brown three-pointer, courtesy of 98.5, the Sports Hub out in Boston. It's primetime, ESPN Radio, ESPN app, Sirius XM, Channel 80. I'm Gabe Neitzel along with Tim Welsh. ESPN Radio presented by Progressive Insurance. Jason Tatum had 5 of the 20 made threes today for the Celtics, and after the game, he caught up on ABC with Lisa Salters.
Jason, just like in games 1 and 2, you guys got out to a big lead. The difference, though, how were you able to hold on to it in this one?
Just keep playing the right way. We understood the magnitude of this game, right? You know, we needed this one. You know, we just didn't like the way we felt after, you know, last game. So just coming out here with the right mindset, you know, just trying to put it all together.
What was different from 3 tonight?
We made some shots.
That's it?
Yeah, make or miss league sometimes.
You said after game 2 that, you know, when shots were not falling, that we've got to continue to be who we are. We got to keep shooting. Just what gave you guys the confidence to have that mindset, to come out here and to keep firing away?
I say it all the time. You can't ride the emotional roller coaster of the playoffs, right? You can't get too high or too low after a win or a loss. And, you know, our core group, we've been together for a long time. We've been in so many different environments and different circumstances. So it's just about, you know, staying together and figuring it out.
We've talked about it all season long, the timelessness of Al Horford, the spark off the bench from Peyton Pritchard. Just can you describe the impact that those two in particular had on this Game 3?
Man, we got a really good team, really talented group. Everybody plays an important piece to, you know, make this machine go. And we need everybody. And, you know, tonight really showed that.
Now, after looking more like yourselves, how do you roll this momentum into Game 4?
You know, just to take it one game at a time. You know, understand that Monday's going to be a great atmosphere. It's going to be a big game. It's going to be fun. So just
also a must-win, right?
Yeah, you know, you want to win every playoff game. So just coming out with the right mindset, understanding we play better, but, you know, we can play a lot better. It's a lot of things that, you know, we didn't like that we really did tonight. So just building off that.
I hear that from Jason Tatum, again, who hit 5 threes today for the Celtics as they go on the road and defeat the Knicks to get back into their best-of-7 series, 2-1. They win 115-93. this is why I just have not lost any confidence in the Celtics. That was somebody who was unbothered by anything that had happened in the previous two games and was clearly just going to stick to the plan. Lisa Salters even throws out there, must win. Basically insinuating, you don't want to fall down 3-1. Coach, if they fall down 3-1, I don't think the Celtics are going to be too panicked. And the big reason for that, as he brought up, is their core has been together for so long, but it feels like the entire rotation is almost a core. You think about how teams change over the course of time, even after you win a championship the way the Celtics did last year. We're only 2 years removed from the Nuggets winning a title, and they look drastically different. Yes, they still have core pieces, certainly, that are there, but some of the ancillary pieces are a little bit different, and they've struggled a little bit more since they won their championship. The Celtics are that rare team that basically returned everybody from a dominant team a year ago, and they've got confidence even if they fall down 2-0 and even if they blow 20-point leads in both those contests.
Absolutely, and it starts with Tatum and Brown, of course, but Joe Mazzulla, you've got to give him credit. I mean, he's a confident guy. I mean, you hear him after losses, he doesn't want to hear it. He just says, we're going to stay with the formula. And Brad Stevens has put together just superior group. It's not only of talent, but chemistry as well. So that they're going to go back to the drawing board. They're going to find their mistakes. And people in Boston may have panicked a little bit, but they were still favored in the series after going down 0-2. And as we've watched these playoffs, Gabe, the interesting thing is that you can throw it out. The higher seed's going to win at home, and it's going to stay by the book. And these playoffs have not been by the book. The home teams have lost. You saw the Thunder; they're in a little bit of trouble right now. The Lakers are home. The Pacers win 2 on the road, then lose 1 at home. So everything's out the window as far as that goes this year. And I don't know what the reason is, except that I like that the officials have let everybody be physical. I like that. Mm-hmm. And this game today, the Celtics came out and were ultra physical defensively right from the get-go. And I think that was their mindset to get them into that laser focus that they needed. And then when the shots started falling, the game was over.
Yeah, and I feel Joe Mazzulla is, because they go out and they win, they play. Again, did they make some small changes? As you have pointed out, Coach, the threes, they still took 40 of them, just like they did in Game 2. I mean, they took 60 in Game 1, which is, it's a lot of threes to be taking in one game. Too many. But when they're around that 40 mark, that's what they do. This is going to be a team that hoists up 3-point shots. They're not going to change fundamentally who they are, but they are going to stick with whatever that game plan is. And when Joe Mazzulla says, we're going to stick to who we are, that doesn't mean they're not going to make those little ancillary changes. Certainly, I think they did in this game, but their formula for who they are certainly has worked, as it showed today and showed last year when they won a championship.
Well, that's what's impressive to me. I mean, you look at the first 2 games and you say, well, they didn't make any changes from Game 1 to Game 2, but they needed to today. They absolutely needed to. And listen, they don't need to be big changes, but sometimes you just give your players a little bit of a tweak, and they think it's a big tweak. And today, Peyton Pritchard getting major minutes was a big move.
Oh, and he paid, again, that paid off. Not only did Jason Tatum hit 5 threes, Pritchard hit 5 threes coming off the bench, actually led the team in scoring with 23 points in that win over the Knicks. We go over to the NFL coming up next. The NFL got an unexpected retirement today, plus the QB battle in Cleveland is on. We talk about it next here on Primetime on ESPN Radio.
Hey, it's Michelle Smallman, and coming up Monday, we'll continue to react to the second round of the NBA playoffs, as well as look ahead to the draft lottery. It's unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
If you have ever thought about remodeling your bathroom but were worried it would take too long or cost too much, then stop worrying. Right now, Jacuzzi Bath Remodel has designed a collection of high-quality custom products and perfected the one-day remodeling experience so you can enjoy your new bathroom faster than ever before. It's a worry-free bath remodel from the most trusted brand name in the business, Jacuzzi. A jacuzzi bath system fits in your existing tub space. It's a no-mess installation with an amazing style selection, factory-certified installers, and a limited lifetime warranty. Call 800-717-4599. That's 800-717-4599 right now and get 50% off installations with no interest and no payments for 12 months. Replace that old bathtub today with a walk-in shower for a safer bathing experience. If you have lived in your home for over 15 years, it's time to remodel your bathroom. For a virtual or in-home appointment, call 800-717-4599. That's 800-717-4599. 800-717-4599.
Mark your calendars for June 28th. The Coeur d'Alene Aviation Air Show and Expo is landing at Pappy Boyington Field. See legendary planes like the P-51 Mustang and F-4U Corsair, jaw-dropping aerobatics, and meet your favorite pilots. Enjoy family fun, interactive exhibits and surprises for all ages. Gates open at 10 a.m. Kids 5 and under are free. Grab early bird discounts now at flyco.com. That's FLYCOE.com. Experience the Coeur d'Alene Aviation Air Show and Expo, sponsored by 700 ESPN.
Be a force for good. Give Back Northwest is our community's catalyst for positive change. Join us in making a difference by helping those in need, giving back to the community, and being part of something bigger than yourself. From supporting local causes to volunteering your time, every contribution counts. Give Back Northwest, where helping people and building stronger communities go hand in hand. This message is brought to you by Residential Home Solutions and Rainman Seamless Rain Gutters.
For garages, repurpose and usable space, and more, it's Croc Coatings.
It's been incredible. It's easy to keep clean. We just squeegee it off and it looks new all the time. The exterior, now we get to use that. We've never used the concrete apron because we could not put deicer down. With the new product that Croc Coating puts on, we can use that driveway, and that gives us another 2,000 square feet. I would recommend them and have recommended them to several people.
We're the only certified dealer in our area to offer Pentec. Pentec is a national brand. It is a polyurethane ISO base. I like to refer to it a lot as your spray-on bed liner. So we're providing a lifelong protection against environmental issues that looks luxury.
You'll love your new space with a lifetime warranty. Croc Coatings and Cabinets. Go to croccoatings.com/radio. That's CROC coatings.com/radio.
226.
PN.
I'm John Ryder. The difference for the Celtics in Game 3 of the East semifinals, they were hitting their threes.
Boston by 21. 2 for 1 here. Pritchard knows it. Walks the dog. Picks it up with 37 seconds to go. Pritchard puts it in the right hand. Step back. Finds Jalen Brown. He up fakes the 3. Gets a clean look. Moving around. Josh Harden. He knocks one down. And the Boston 3 party has defined the first half of Game 3.
Sean Grandy with a call on 98.5 The Sports Hub as the Celtics knock down 23s and hammer the Knicks 115-93 at Madison Square Garden. Peyton Pritchard with 23 off the bench. He made 5 threes. Jason Tatum had 22 points. Jaylen Brown with 19. New York still with a 2-1 series lead. Game 3 of the West semis tonight with the series tied at 1. Golden State hosting Minnesota. And on ESPN Radio and ABC, coverage starting at 8 p.m. Eastern. In the Stanley Cup playoffs, Game 3, second round of the East, Capitals and Hurricanes scoreless with 8 minutes left in the first period. The series is tied at 1. Quarterback Derek Carr retiring after 11 seasons due to a right shoulder injury, with surgery not being an option. He spent the first 9 years of his career with the Raiders, the last 2 with the Saints. New Orleans drafted quarterback Tyler Shuck in the second round of this year's draft. On the baseball scoreboard, Aaron Judge has hit a pair of solo homers. He leads the majors with 14, but it's the A's in front of the Yankees, 7-6 in the 8th in Sacramento. Shane Langoliers a go-ahead 3-run homer in the 7th. Cardinals going for a 7th straight win. They lead the Nationals 4-2 in the 9th in D.C. Braves and Pirates tied at 2 in the 9th. Brewers and Rays tied at 2 in the 5th in Tampa. Jackson Churio his 7th home run.
Derek Carr has been dealing with a significant injury, and the injury is significant enough that Carr has decided to call it a career.
I'm not surprised that he's not playing for the Saints this year, I'll say. I was getting indications of that, and something was maybe going to come to a head. I did not expect retirement.
You respect and appreciate so much that Derek's done in this league.
I love Derek Carr. He did a lot of good things, and he was always somebody that was pleasant to be around in the building.
Suddenly the Saints have a quarterback battle, as they are without their expected starter at quarterback because of an unexpected retirement. It's primetime, ESPN Radio, ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80. I'm Gabe Nutso along with Tim Welsh. And Derek Carr, I saw the alert come across my phone this morning that Derek Carr retiring, dealing with a shoulder injury, no guarantee that he's going to regain strength in that shoulder, even if he has surgery. So ultimately, he decides to step away and retire. Kellen Moore, who is the new Saints head coach, had this to say on Carr's retirement today.
As we've gone through this whole offseason, Derek's had to go through a lot just as you go through this process, and obviously making the decision ultimately to retire from the National Football League after an 11-year career. I mean, first of all, you respect and appreciate so much that Derek's done in this league, and for the way he's done it, the on-the-field performance, the off-the-field person that he's showcased, and the impact he's had on so many people in this profession is really, really special. And so certainly, coming here, I've always had so much respect and appreciation for him. And as we've gone through this process, obviously this is how it kind of ultimately was settled. It was really good communication through the whole process as far as navigating this. Again, challenging circumstances with him being injured at the end of the year, and then just kind of navigating things throughout the whole offseason process. And so, I think Derek, the people that are a part of his life, have communicated really well with the Saints. I think there's been really good communication, and so we feel like it was done the right way.
So you're a new head coach in Kellen Moore. You've never been a head coach at this level previously, and now you are without your veteran starting quarterback going into the first year. As a former coach, Tim, and granted you were in the basketball space, but I mean, how different is that you now have to pivot off of what your plan probably was when you accepted the job? Now, just a couple of months later, getting ready for the season, you're going to have to come up with a completely different plan, as they're going to have an open competition. Tyler Shuck, who they drafted, Spencer Rattler's on that roster, to try to determine who that starting quarterback is going to be.
Well, I think if you're Kellen Moore, you might want to call Philadelphia and say, "Can I come back?" We've seen some college basketball coaches get to a job. They're few and far between, but it's happened before in the college basketball space where coaches have taken jobs and they've been there for a few days and they say, "What did I get myself into?" But listen, Kellen Moore's not afraid of the situation. I'm sure he knew at some point Derek Carr had some sort of problem. I'm sure he didn't think he was going to retire. There's also speculation that Derek Carr might change his mind at some point. They're off the hook for about $30 million this year with Derek Carr. Yeah, it's a brutal situation. The only saving grace for the Saints is that their division's so bad, and they're going to have to figure it out. I mean, Kellen Moore's a very good offensive coach, but going into the season with Tyler Shuck, I'm not sure that's the answer. But I think probably they drafted him early, so they think he's their long-term solution. But we all know that rookies in the NFL, they're not going to do what Washington did a year ago. It's very difficult to go far with a rookie quarterback, but I like Kellen Moore as a coach. I think he's got a really good offensive mind. So if they can put pieces around the QB, I think they can be in the mix in that division, because that division is so weak.
Jeremy Fowler, ESPN NFL insider, was on Hammer and Emmett this morning right here on ESPN Radio. Count him among the surprise that Derek Carr retired.
I'm not surprised that he's not playing for the Saints this year, I'll say. I was getting indications of that, and something was maybe going to come to a head. I did not expect retirement, but the explanation of the shoulder injury adds up. Late March, he just tried to start throwing and realized that it's a serious injury, and the Saints vetted that. So that all makes sense, and you knew he was hurt. I just thought it'd be more like he set out the year and then got out of his contract and tried to get on elsewhere. But I think now he's come to the realization that he was probably done, and his days as a starter were over, especially with the fact that he's been a very good quarterback, so couldn't get teams over the hump. And then now you're like, a shoulder injury for a quarterback can be a little bit of a death sentence, as we're seeing here.
Yeah, and I think that's just kind of the tough part, where you're not getting the guarantee of, yeah, even if we do shoulder surgery, not sure if that is going to even alleviate all the issues that you're experiencing. I guess that's where it becomes not surprising with the fact that he decided to step away and retire. And honestly, it could be, Tim, a blessing in disguise for the Saints, because this is a team that, for whatever reason, they're the only ones in the NFL that haven't been able to figure out the salary cap. It seems like every year for the last 5 years, or ever since Drew Brees retired, well, the Saints are $50 million over the cap. They got to figure something out. Now with this, maybe they can finally get their finances, get the salary cap back in order, and then start trying to build this thing from the ground up and maybe experience some success in that division in the NFC.
I would think so. I mean, Kellen Moore is a good hire. I've always thought he was good. Going back to the Cowboys, I thought he did a good job as the offensive coordinator there, and then he ended up on the West Coast, and we saw what he did in Philadelphia. So his name was hot. I think that's a good hire, but obviously, as you said, the roster situation, you've got to figure that out, and you've got to figure out the quarterback situation. But I think the Saints, you won't hear much from them this year. I think it's going to be a struggle until they figure all of that out.
ESPN Radio, presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive can protect your home, auto, boat, motorcycle, ATV, RV, and more. In short, it's a lot of things. Bundle today at Progressive.com.
With the 144th pick, the Cleveland Browns select Shedeur Sanders.
I think there's still a lot of positive things ahead of him if he has the right attitude and goes in there and just puts his head down and works.
So we get the shocking news out of New Orleans that Derek Carr is retiring. So, okay, start paying attention to their rookie mini camps and orientation and all those things going on with Tyler Shuck, who is a rookie, and see what's going on. Meanwhile, we're also keeping an eye on everything happening in Cleveland because, well, they've drafted 2 quarterbacks in Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders, who are participating in rookie mini camp going on. And Shedeur, after the practice, talked about the 4-way quarterback battle that is going on in Cleveland.
They did draft Dylan 2 rounds in front of you, and you come into basically a 4-man quarterback competition for potentially a starting job in your rookie year.
I just feel like in life and everything, it's just me versus me. I can't control any other decision besides that, so I just try to be my best self at all times.
Look, for Shedeur, first of all, that's a great answer, I think, from him, because there was a lot of drama surrounding him in the pick and him falling and all those things a couple of weeks ago in the NFL draft. So for him to go, hey, this is what I'm focused on, this is what I'm going to be trying to do, because every rep is going to matter, because that quarterback battle is wide open with what's going on in Cleveland, and whoever can look better might have a leg up by the time they get to training camp in the battle, even the OTAs and the the mandatory mini camps that happen for Cleveland when Joe Flacco shows up. Like, all these reps are mattering for these young quarterbacks if they eventually do want to challenge Flacco for that starting position this season.
Well, if I'm a betting man, I'm saying Shedeur Sanders is going to beat out Dylan Gabriel, but they picked him ahead of him. So I don't know. And there's, as you said, there's a lot of controversy with the pick. Who picked it? Was it the front office? Was it the owner? It looked to me from just the eye, the eye test, that the owner picked it, Shedeur Sanders, which, the owner is the owner. So, but listen, I would never bet against a Sanders. And that's going back to when I coached at Florida State as an assistant. I saw the work ethic. I saw him on the field a lot back in the late 80s, early 90s when he played college football and then became a Major League Baseball player. I mean, this guy will know how to work. And whatever happened leading up to the draft is baffling to me, that someone just didn't say, let's take a flyer on this guy all the way to the 5th round. Very, very shocking to me. I watched him play a lot in college, and listen, you can play pickup football in college, and he's going to have to learn the system though in the NFL. And I think Kevin Stefanski's a good coach. I think he's a good offensive mind, and they're going to plug him in, and they're going to play the best player for sure. But he's behind the 8 ball for sure, because Joe Flacco obviously has all the experience and he's run the system before. But he's just going to learn his job. He's got to make the team first and foremost. But he's already talking about being the next Tom Brady as far as a 5th-round pick and being able just to do things and not worried about where he was picked.
Shedeur Sanders did talk about proving people wrong during his press conference today as well.
Like, my job here isn't to prove people wrong. Like, I prove myself right. And I fully have self-belief, you know, and what those people say, that's just their opinion. So I don't truly care. They don't really live in my mental space about that type of stuff. It really doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah, and that's the right attitude to have going into this quarterback battle for Shedeur Sanders and having that confidence. You need to have that confidence to play that position at a high level in that league. And it seems like he has that confidence and wants to have that confidence going into the quarterback battle he finds himself in. But coming up next, we're going to head back to New York City as the Celtics finally have bounced back from their shooting woes in Madison Square Garden. We discuss next. It's primetime on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
The NBA playoffs on ESPN Radio.
Gilgeous Alexander, open three. Bang, he got it.
From the play-in tournament.
It really just felt like we had a second chance.
Until a champion is crowned at the NBA Finals.
If you don't think we are headed for an amazing spring, I can't help you.
Welcome to the NBA playoffs. Anything can happen.
On ESPN Radio and on ESPN.
Celebrating 25 years. Dynamic decks.
People are always amazed what a deck will do to a home. A front porch will change the curb appeal of your home, and a back deck with a cover or outdoor kitchen or an operable pergola would completely change your outdoor space, and that's something that makes your home stand out, whether you're going to sell it or creating your forever home, whatever it may be. A deck is the beginning of a beautiful outdoor space.
DynamicDecksInc.com.
At Papa Murphy's, we make delicious pizza.
Right, but you can't eat a pizza until it's baked, so doesn't that mean that I am the true maker of the Papa Murphy's pizza?
But Dad, doesn't Papa Murphy's hand make the dough, hand grate the cheese, and hand chop the toppings? Sounds like they make the pizza.
But I take it, I bake it to perfection, so I make the pizza.
Whatever, so long as it makes it into my mouth.
Right now, order the limited time Taco Grande pizza for pickup or delivery from papamurphys.com.
So, do you have outgrown kids' clothes, toys, or baby gear? Get cash on the spot at Once Upon a Child in Spokane Valley. They buy gently used current styles, no appointment needed. Clean out, cash in, and give great items a second life. Visit Once Upon a Child.
Spring is here, and for many homeowners, they're thinking about selling. But if you've ever wondered what your home might actually sell for if it was marketed the right way? Hi, I'm Robert Henry, co-founder of Haven Real Estate Group. At Haven, we don't just list your home, we launch it with cinematic video tours, drone footage, immersive 3D walkthroughs, and targeted marketing that gets your home in front of serious buyers. Here's the proof. Our listings sell for an average of $12,000 more than those listed by our competitors. That's the Haven difference. And agents, you get access to every tool we offer, included no hidden fees, no fine print, just real support. So whether you're selling a home or selling real estate, let's talk. Call us today at 509-590-4701 or visit havenrealestategroup.com. Let's make your next move your best one.
Supporting our community is what Give Back Northwest is all about.
The Arc of Spokane is a chapter of the Arc of Washington and the Arc of the United States. They're on the front lines to ensure that people with intellectual and developmental disabilities and their families have the support and services they need to be fully engaged in their communities. You can learn more at arc-spokane.org.
This message is brought to you by Give Back Northwest with support from Rainman Seamless Rain Gutters.
The 700 ESPN Christmas Wish Golf Tournament, presented by Subaru of Spokane, is sold out. We look forward to seeing every single golfer that signed up to play the Coeur d'Alene Resort Course on June 10th. The sold-out 700 ESPN Christmas Wish Golf Tournament, presented by Subaru of Spokane, is also brought to you in part by Dynamic Decks and Delicious Burgers. We'd also like to say thank you to Playmore RV, Residential Home Solutions, and the Coeur d'Alene Triathlon.
Wingman's Word of the Day, brought to you by Aspen Sound.
The word is click. C-L-I-C-K. Click.
Learn how you can become a wingman winner at 700ESPN.com.
Torrey Craig will take a shot violation here. But what the Celtics did today, yeah, they made their threes. They made the right plays. But they answered everybody in the last 72 hours. They walk into the Coliseum today, and they end up being the Lions. Start to finish dominance from the reigning and defending world champion Boston Celtics. And they are on the board in the Eastern Conference semifinals. The final score, Boston 115, New York 93. Knicks lead the series 2-1.
98.5 The Sports Hub with the call. Boston finds themselves right back in their series with the New York Knicks. It's primetime, ESPN Radio, ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80. Along with Tim Welsh, I'm Gabe Neitzel. And the Celtics built 20-point leads in Game 1. Built a 20-point lead in Game 2. Blew both those leads, led by as many as 31 today. The Knicks did not lead for a second of this ball game, so it was a start-to-finish beatdown. The Celtics going after the Knicks today, and Joe Mazzulla, after the game, stepped up to his press conference. He was asked how tough the last 72 hours have been.
I mean, I've said it 1,000 times. There's no one way of how it's supposed to go. I mean, people that... you get caught up when your expectations aren't met, and so there's no expectations there. We're on a path of trying to go after greatness, and you don't get to dictate the test that's in front of you. All you get to dictate is how you approach it and how you respond to it. So if you plan on doing this for a long time, trust me, it'll be a lot worse than those last 72 hours, and that's the perspective you have to have. So at the end of the day, we got a test in front of us, and I got a group of guys that I wouldn't want anyone else to be able to go through that. So this is the fun part. You don't get into the journey for it to be easy. So it's been dark, but in a good way.
Dark? How dark? What's that?
I mean, you just got to tap into your darkness, and that's it. So we got to do it. That's it.
I don't know if desperation might have been a better word. You're tapping into that desperation because you're down 2-0. No team's ever come back from 3-0 in an NBA playoff series. So that's what they were facing today. Should they have lost the game? Obviously, they did not. But at the same time, I just didn't look at Mazzulla or the Celtics as a team that was really going to panic. Not that they've been here before, blowing back-to-back 20-point leads, because, well, nobody's have really been in that situation, Coach. But I just didn't look at them as somebody who was going to panic because of the veteran leadership they have, who their coach is, what they were able to accomplish last year. And that's pretty much the way they showed up today, that they were not going to panic and they were still a dominant team.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing about them that's interesting is that a year ago they really weren't challenged. I think they only lost 3 games the entire playoffs, and they've already lost 3 this year. Their home court was not good during the regular season. But you said it. They have the experience of winning. And it didn't matter how they did it a year ago, and they don't feel like they weren't challenged. They feel like they were challenged a year ago, and they know that it's going to be challenged. And Joe makes a good point that every year is different. Every road will be different, and it's really how you handle the preparation leading up to it. These guys aren't going to panic. They've got a ring. They've got a lot of pride, too. They want to do something special, and he talked about chasing greatness, and that's what they're trying to do, win back-to-back. And they're still the favorites. They're still the favorites to win this series. They're still the favorites to win the title. So that's the way they have to look at it and approach it. While on top of it, also saying we have to make some adjustments in the series. We can't just do the same thing over and over and over. So, and they did. They made adjustments not only to their lineup and their rotations today, but how they defended, and also the shot selection was so important today, of how they, not only the shots they took, but how they got to those shots and moving the ball, making the defense work a little harder at one end of the floor, which when they do that, they're really hard to beat.
Yeah, and they had the offense working, they had the defense working today, and there was a lot made of this game coming into it, where secondary ticket markets were saying, yeah, this is the most expensive ticket we've seen just to get into the building. $700 just to get in for this game today inside Madison Square Garden. So Tom Thibodeau, Knicks head coach, had this to say about his team's level of intensity at the start of today's game.
I think the intent was there, but it was, sometimes if you impact, if you miss shots, you tend to not have the same type of energy. And there's a lot of different ways you could help to win a game. And so no one's going to shoot great every night. There's going to be nights you don't shoot it that well, but do other things to help the team win. and that's basically what we've done all year. So, we fell short today, and we have to take a good hard look at the film and then get ourselves ready for the next game, because that's the only thing that is important, is the next challenge that you face, and that's our challenge.
In games 1 and 2, the Knicks were tremendous in the fourth quarter, coming back from those 20-point deficits. But they did the same thing today. They trailed by as many as 31, never led a single second of today's game, Coach. How can they start faster so they're not constantly trying to chase down one of the best offenses in the league?
Well, I think, and Tom made a good point there, is that you've got to make sure your offense gets going, because your defense will take a step off. At any level, if you're not scoring, it's really hard to have that pop on defense. And it's just the same thing, especially at home. The crowd, you could just feel it today. The Garden crowd was waiting for anything good to happen, but nothing was happening. And when they get down 15 in the first quarter, and now they're down 20 plus at halftime, there's not a lot of confidence, and people aren't going to be sitting there as fans to energize your team. Well, we've been down 20 the first 2 games, we're going to do it again. I mean, that's not going to happen. You've got to start the game better. You've got to get good shots. You've got to get Brunson going early. Karl Anthony Towns has got to be more physical around the basket. He's got to play more inside and be a little bit stronger and tougher, because really they got out tough today. I mean, the Celtics, they took the first punch and they kept punching, and the Knicks didn't punch back.
Yeah, and you knew that if the Celtics jumped out to that lead, at least I thought, it was going to be tougher for the Knicks to come back from a 20-point deficit today, just because the energy in the building of Knicks fans, they are just so desperate for something to cheer for in these games that if they jumped, if they fell down early like they did again, kind of some hand-wringing, a little bit of that nervous energy out of the crowd, and that was going to be tough to overcome, and that's basically the way that things continued to play out. So we talked about some of the adjustments for the Celtics. We heard it earlier from Jason Tatum when he talked with Lisa Salter. Sometimes it's a make or miss league. For Joe Mazzulla, he was asked, was it as simple as the shots falling today for his team to pick up a win?
No, I mean, that's the easy thing to look at, but we won the end of quarters, and we didn't have 11 live ball turnovers. I can't stress to you the importance of not throwing the ball to the other team so they get out in transition, and they have 28 points in transition in game 2. And not ending quarters well, when it's at 20 and it gets to 12 with 58 seconds left. And you have to end quarters, you have to start quarters well, you have to value the basketball, you have to win the margins. I can't stress. That's all we talked about for the last 72 hours, and that's the most important thing.
And if that's what they stressed, that certainly showed up today. But also, and you brought this up earlier, Coach, just the efficiency of their offense and the quality of looks that they got from the outside. They're going to shoot a lot of threes regardless, but they got a lot of wide open looks from distance, and that's probably why they connected on half of them today.
Yeah, and they point to the fact that in the first 2 games they had a lot of wide open looks as well. And that may be true. When you break it down, there's probably a lot of good wide open looks that they did miss, but I thought they were rushed looks. They were too early in the shot clock. They were just off a dribble. They weren't catch and shoot where they had good spacing on the court or a chance for an offensive rebound. And they didn't move without the ball. They didn't really challenge the Knicks to defend them. And I think that gave the Knicks some energy late because they didn't make them work on defense. And today they made them work on defense right off the tip. And you saw it with the Knicks. Not only that their defense was affected, but their offense was really lacking because of the fact I think they had to chase the Celtics off the line all afternoon.
Yeah, and they were able to get those great looks, hitting 20 of 43s in the game, and they just continued to be efficient offensively. Again, shooting 48.2% as a team for the game, but the turnovers, only 8 turnovers total for the Celtics. You mentioned the 11 live ball turnovers they had in game number 2 to Joe Mazzulla, so just to have 8 today, certainly a big advantage as the Knicks turned it over 11 times, crashing the offensive glass, all those certainly important things for the Celtics. And now they're looking at potentially winning game number 4, going back to Boston with this series tied at 2 games apiece, with game 4 coming up Monday evening at Madison Square Garden. But still plenty of playoff basketball to get into here on Primetime. And coming up next, is playoff Jimmy finally going to be on his way for Golden State? We dive into that coming up next. It's Primetime on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Kennedy, coming up Monday. The draft is done, mini camps are wrapping up, but it's never too early to tell you the biggest roster holes for Super Bowl contenders. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control of your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problem now by calling the experts at U.S. Tax Shield and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, so call now. 800-687-5192. That's 800-687-5192. U.S. Tax Shield. 800-687-5192.
At Papa Murphy's, we make delicious pizza.
Right, but you can't eat a pizza until it's baked, so doesn't that mean that I am the true maker of the Papa Murphy's pizza?
But Dad, doesn't Papa Murphy's hand make the dough, hand grate the cheese, and hand chop the toppings? Sounds like they make the pizza.
But I take it. I bake it to perfection, so I make the pizza.
Whatever, so long as it makes it into my mouth.
Right now, order the limited time Taco Grande pizza for pickup or delivery from papamurphys.com.
Supporting our community is what Give Back Northwest is all about.
Domestic violence hurts thousands of women, children, and men in Spokane County every year and often goes unseen and unheard. Spokane Regional Domestic Violence Coalition, a partnership among multiple organizations in Spokane, is working on a plan to create a safer Spokane and to advocate for victims and survivors. Learn more at endtheviolencespokane.org.
This message is brought to you by Give Back Northwest with support from Residential Home Solutions.
Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa this weekend only, today through Sunday. Spokane County Fair and Expo Center. Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa this weekend only, today through Sunday. Spokane County Fair and Expo Center. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Spokane County Fair and Expo Center. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates this weekend only. Spokane County Fair and Expo Center. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Spokane County Fair and Expo Center. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Today through Sunday. Spokane County Fair and Expo Center. Today, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. Spokane County Fair and Expo Center. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
Sales sponsored by Hot Productions.
KXLA 08 Spokane. Broadcasting from the Turf Club Sportsbook at Northern Quest Resort and Casino Studios. This is 700 ESPN 105.3 FM. This is Sports Center.
I'm Dave Nager. In games 1 and 2, the Celtics were missing three-pointers at a historic clip. Game 3 in New York, they shoot 50% from downtown. No blown lead this time. Boston beats the Knicks and coach Tom Thibodeau 115-93.
They got some clean looks early, and, they see it go in. That gives them confidence. Then it's hard to shut them off.
Peyton Pritchard led the Celtics with 23. New York leads the series 2-1. Tonight, Minnesota at Golden State with the series tied at 1. It's on ABC and ESPN Radio with the pregame at 8 Eastern Time. NHL end of 1. Washington and Carolina scoreless. The series tied at 1. Later, Vegas at Edmonton. Oilers lead the series 2-0. For the Golden Knights, winger Brandon Saad and defenseman Braden McNabb both out. They are both day-to-day. Baseball. Aaron Judge, 2 home runs for 14 on the year, but the Athletics lead the Yankees 11-6, top of the 9th. Shea Langoliers, 3-run shot in the 7th. Cardinals in Washington, Lars Nootbaar of St. Louis, 2-run double in the 2nd.
There's a swing and a drive to right field. Cruz is not going to catch it. The ball short hops the wall. Baez has scored. Here comes Scott. He's going to score.
John Rooney on KMOX. Cardinals win 4-2. Atlanta and Pittsburgh tied at 2 in the 11th inning. It's on many ESPN radio affiliates and the ESPN app. NFL New Orleans quarterback Derek Carr retires. Chronic shoulder injury. 11 years, 257 touchdown throws.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming up Monday, the NBA and NHL playoffs roll on. NFL rookie minicamps are wrapping up, and I'll react to it all in my Upon Further Review at 7 a.m. Eastern. It's Unsportsmanlike weekday mornings at 6, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Torrey Craig will take a shot clock violation here. But what the Celtics did today, yeah, they made their threes. They made the right plays, but they answered everybody in the last 72 hours. They walk into the Coliseum today, and they end up being the Lions. Start to finish dominance from the reigning and defending world champion Boston Celtics, and they are on the board in the Eastern Conference semifinals. The final score, Boston 115, New York 93. Knicks lead the series 2-1.
98.5 The Sports Hub out of Boston with that call as the Celtics cruise today, led by as many as 31, never trailed, picking up their first victory in that Eastern Conference semifinal series today at Madison Square Garden.